I've been walking around thinking that I don't have any chest pain, so I'm fine. Oh, really?
Yes, that is correct.
What other symptoms do they exhibit?
So we have what is called the traditional symptoms and the non-traditional symptoms. Males tend to have the traditional symptoms, while females tend to have the non-traditional symptoms. The traditional symptoms are typically chest pain.
Yes.
This chest pain can be in the middle of the chest or the left side of the chest, and it can go to your arm, it can go to your jaw. It can be linked with shortness of breath. Every time you walk, you exert yourself, you get out of breath. Sometimes you feel your heart beating fast. Sometimes you feel dizzy. You might feel like you're about to throw up. You can have some vomiting episodes. But for women, which is very key, their symptoms are usually non-traditional. They might just have back pain. They might feel like they're having indigestion, or they might just
my
feel
God.
bad. And so you don't really catch it early like that. Yes.
Now this is frightening. When you calm down, you'll be fine. Wow. So what? And some don't show any of those symptoms. I think those are the ones that probably hit a guy when he's talking. We've had one or two very recent ones in public of people dying from heart. What I usually say to people that ultimately what kills anybody is heart failure, because once your heart stops beating, if you have other organs, it leads to heart failure. Is that right?
Well, that is correct to some
Yes,
extent.
to some extent, yes.
But the heart. I always tell people the heart is like a house. If you imagine a house, so you've got a roof, you've got walls, you've got doors, you've got plumbing. So every time you turn on the pipe, water goes to the pipes, and when you flip on the switch, the light comes on. So the heart has a structure. So the walls are equivalent to the walls of a house. So you can have problems with the walls, which causes heart failure. You can have problem with the doors not moving, which are the valves. So the valves might be stiff. Maybe the door is not able to move correctly, or the door moves too much that blood leaks. Or sometimes you might have problems with electrical activity of the heart, which is equivalent to when you flip up a switch and the light comes on. So imagine you flip up the switch, the light doesn't come on. And so that is what we call arrhythmia. So somebody can be walking and they just slump. They can just have a situation where the heart is beating very fast or the heart beats too slow. That's a rhythmic problem. And sometimes, which is one that is actually very common, is the pipes, because the heart has arteries that feed itself, pipes that carry blood, right? And the pipe can get blocked. And then that can also cause a heart attack.
Talking of pipe getting blocked, I'm a bit confused. Some doctors would say you should take an aspirin a day. And some, if you do take an aspirin a day, sometimes your blood is too thin. So, which is, now correct me, yeah, doctor, tell me what exactly should it be?
So this is part of the talk, heart disease, the myths, the mysteries, and realities. There's some myths, there's some mysteries, and then realities. In the past, they used to say one aspirin a day keeps the doctor away.
Yes.
Not necessarily, but, aspirin is good when you have an indication for it. So what aspirin does is that it doesn't make the platelets come together to cause a clot in the body. But it thins out the blood, but not as much as when you use some other blood thinners like that. So aspirin just basically acts on the platelets, and but you can still be using aspirin, and if you don't take good care of yourself, or your cholesterol is very high, or your high blood pressure is uncontrolled, or your diabetes is under control, you can still have a heart attack. But definitely it's better for you to be on aspirin than not to be on aspirin. But the guidelines now says that not everybody needs to take aspirin, because in the past everybody just takes aspirin, and that has a risk itself, because you can have bleeding, you can fall and bleed into the brain and things like that. So only specific people being told to take aspirin at this time.
I used to take, by doctor's recommendation, I used to take aspirin. But there was a day, I don't know what I had to do, and I had to take my blood, and just a little prick, and the blood just kept flowing, and then again, in medical practice, you see, this doctor advises you to do this, then something happens and you see another doctor and he says, no, don't do this and don't do that. God. So the awareness is to achieve what now? What should we do? Should we see a doctor every week? Should we see a doctor every month? What should we eat? What are the things we should do? I know smoking is out of it. Yet you don't encourage people to smoke. I think the world has made a lot of progress in that regard. What are the other things that you shouldn't do? to affect your heart? Maybe you should start from there.
Excellent question. So this brings us to the topic of the risk factors. Okay.
Yes.
So the first risk factor is high blood pressure, and interestingly, a third of Nigerians have high blood pressure.
I have.
30%, and what's more important is 30% of them don't even know they have high blood pressure. 30% of people are unaware they have high blood pressure. Out of those people that have high blood pressure, only 12% are on medications. And guess what? Out of those 12% on medications, only 2.8% their blood pressure is only controlled in only 2.8% of people. So we call high blood pressure the silent killer because a lot of people don't know they have it, and it's a risk factor for heart disease. So basically, you need to check your blood pressure, see your doctor once a year, at least get your blood pressure checked, and you need to know the number. The optimal blood pressure, there are two numbers, the top number and the bottom number. The top number is the systolic, the bottom number is the diastolic. You want the top number to be 120 and below, and the bottom number to be 80 and below. That's when you're normal. Between 120 and 30 is elevated. Between 130 and 139 is stage 1 hypertension. All that has changed. In the past, 140 over 90 used to be the target. But that has changed now. The target is now 130 over 80. So if your blood pressure is over 130 over 80, then you'll have high blood pressure. So you need to check it. And then once you check it, you need to make sure that it's treated. You can start with lifestyle changes. For example, making sure that you don't eat canned foods. A lot of people here eat canned foods. The canned food has a lot of salt. The difference between
Canned food is what now?
Foods in cans.
Food in cans.
Grocery stores.
What do we call it locally now? Do we call it canned food? Or tinned? We call it tinned food.
Okay, tinned. Yes, that's right.
So people can understand.
Right,
we call it tinned food. Yeah, no, it's okay.
So because it's got a lot of salt in it. The difference between high blood pressure in the blacks and in whites is that the high blood pressure in blacks is what we call a salt-dependent hypertension. There's a lot of salt in it. So when you take a lot of cans, they use a lot of salt to preserve it so it stays on the shelf for a long time. You don't want to sprinkle your salt on your food after it's cooked. A lot of times people do that, and you're taking raw salt. People that eat French fries outside, they use a lot of salt. So you want I want to avoid salt. And then obesity is on the rise in Nigeria. A third of people are obese. And we need to cut that out and basically make sure that you exercise. Make sure you eat the right food and cut back on a lot of fatty food. Nigeria in the past was very different. Now with the urbanization and Western diet, because a lot of Western diet has come into Nigeria now. But now we're eating most of the diet that people eat in the U.S. and in Europe and all that. And that's why you see obesity on the rise. And with obesity comes diabetes. So high blood pressure, obesity, diabetes, smoking, that's the singular most, the one factor that can be changed, but we're seeing that rise even in young people in Nigerians. Young Nigerians now are smoking, especially females. And when you smoke, even if you smoke less than 10 cigarettes a day, your risk triples of having heart disease, even if you have secondhand smoke. So if somebody's smoking next to you,
yes,
and you're not even smoking, you also have risk for having heart disease.
Well, for those of you who hang around these lounges and things like that, where there's smoking going on, and you think, well, I'm not smoking anyway, so you better listen well to this one. Yes.
So then, we're talking about exercise, because the heart is a mobile organ; it beats. So you need to keep moving. They say if you stay too long, you wait tables. You can't keep waiting, right? You just need to keep moving around and exercise. Walk like 20,000. Steps a day is good. So you can walk
20,000 steps.
Yes, 20,000 steps. It's very easy because you move around. I'm sure you've had maybe 5,000 steps again this morning already.
Yeah, possibly. Yeah, moving, going up, coming down.
Exactly, going up and down. If you do 3 times a week, you walk 30, 45 minutes times a week is very, very good. And cholesterol, that's a very important one too. Cholesterol, we have to watch the kind of cholesterol that we take, and there are a lot of myths out there. People say cholesterol is a man's problem. I've heard people say, well, thin people do not have heart disease. I don't know if you watch, there used to be this ad back in the days, I think it was in the 80s or something like that, where this thin lady was walking on the red carpet and she just fell and had a heart attack. So it's not about how you look on the outside, it's about how you look on the inside.
On the inside.
So you need to check those cholesterol and know which kind of cholesterol you have, and then the doctor can start your medication, things like that, or start you with lifestyle changes. So these are some of the things that we need to.
I bumped into an argument once, and I need you to clarify it. 2 things. One is that at what age should you be having regular checkups? And 2, could they be hypertensive? Children.
Excellent. So yes, kids can have high blood pressure. I mean, 95% of high blood pressure is what we call essential hypertension, which means it just happens. We don't know, and the remaining 5% are secondary hypertension, which can happen in people that are younger, in the 20s and
Yes.
in the teenage years, and that can be due to some other things which doctors have to check to look for the cause, because that means there's a specific cause for that hypertension if it happens early. So yes, just like diabetes happens in young people, high blood pressure can happen in young people. There's usually a cause that doctor have to figure out, and they can take care of that early.
Okay, I'm sure you're itching to ask questions. 0201 2770993 0201 4657190. Now, the doctor is not here to diagnose your problem. You have to go see a doctor. So the questions you ask, try and make sure that they are not too personal, that would demand there's no free consultation here. Okay, but try and keep your questions on the general nature that will benefit everybody. We have a caller there. Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning, sir.
Morning.
Yeah, I'm Sunday. I'm calling from Italy.
Yes, please.
Please, I just want to ask the doctor if you're taking enough water, is it good for the heart?
Okay. No go dive
that's
inside
the
swimming
question.
pool. Take all the water inside though.
I know, I'm
I know say no. I know say you don't want that. I know you now. So he is wondering whether this theory about taking a lot of water, whether it helps. Let me put it that way.
Yeah. So, Professor Sunday, thank you for that question, because obviously he's done a lot of research.
He's done a lot of research. Yeah.
Water is good for you because 60% of our body makeup is water anyway. So it's good to drink water. Generally, it helps the kidneys, and the kidneys and the heart link together. But again, you want to know, what your heart function is, because if you have heart failure, you can't drink a lot of fluids. You can't drink a lot of water.
You can't drink a lot of
No, if
fluids.
you have heart failure, you can't drink a lot of water.
So we skipped the question about from what age should you start going for regular checkups?
Right.
Yes,
right.
We forgot that.
So I think, if you don't have risk factors or you don't have family history, I think I would suggest from 35, anything above 35, you need to start getting at this, get your heart screened, get the screening done.
You don't think it's good to stop by the doctors anyway, at least once a year minimum?
Yeah, I mean...
Even if you're younger, just let them check you up.
Yes, I mean, in the U.S., yes, once you're 21, you see your doctor regularly every year. But I don't think that's the case in Nigeria. But again, it also depends on family history. Some people have family history of premature cardiac disease and things like that, or cholesterol problems. Sometimes you see people in the top of their eyelids, you see like a little bump, like a yellowish thing. That means that their cholesterol is very high. They have a type they have a familial type of cholesterol, and they usually have premature coronary artery disease, which is premature blockage in the heart. So those kind of people, you need to start checking earlier. So it's very key to know your family history. In Nigeria, we don't typically find out about family history.
No.
I had a patient recently. The father died of a certain heart condition, and he also looks like he has the same heart condition, and he has a son that was born with an enlarged heart. So it's very important to know your family history so that you can start to mitigate these things early. The key is to catch them early, not wait until things get worse.
You have this heart awareness week. What are the issues we'll be looking at? Because I think that some members of the public might be interested in knowing. Awareness is for everybody's good anyway. So what are the issues you'll be looking at for that 1 week you'll be having? Are they lectures? What exactly would they be?
I always say the creed of knowledge and exchange of ideas one should hold as an existential absolute in any societal construct.
Yes.
So, knowledge is key. And that's one of the things that an awareness raises in this week. A lot of times, my time here in Nigeria, taking care of patients, I've noticed that a lot of patients are not aware of a lot of things compared to in the developed countries, where people read a lot and all that. So I think that's very key, because I see patients and they tell me, a lot of times people have shortness of breath and they think it's because they're getting older, or they think it's because
they're just tired.
They're just tired. It's to work, things like that. And these are early signs. And sometimes people have peripheral vascular disease where they walk, they have pain in the legs. And people are not even aware of that. And they're getting amputations a lot. And these things are all linked together. So the purpose of the Awareness Week is to make sure that people have an understanding, knowledge. Nigerians are very smart people. If you give them the knowledge, you know what to do about it.
So where can they pick the knowledge? That's what I'm saying.
Are
you going to be on radio? Are you going to be on TV? Is there going to be some lecture somewhere?
Yeah, they can pick it from Mr. Jimi Disu himself. He's right here. He knows about all this things.
I don't know. I know, Buko.
But, things like this.
Okay, what I'll do is I'll get the program from... after the program, I'll get the program and put it on my TikTok and put it on for all to see. So if there are lectures and things like that, make sure that you... Mrs. Kuyoro, can we have another one of your members here on Tuesday? So we can also have an expanded discussion on Tuesday morning, 9 o'clock. So on Tuesday morning, 9 o'clock, we'll go even further and continue to talk about these issues because they're crucial. I tell you what, Doctor, I have a feeling that you don't live here permanently. You have in the States, because even your telephone number is an American number, I don't want to read it down. No, I want it down. But are you resident here full time or you come and go?
I reside in Nigeria, in the US. I'm proudly Nigerian, unapologetically Nigerian.
No, I'm not saying you're not in Nigeria, but you live in America. Tell us.
I'm here.
I know. Yeah, yes. Because I want why I said so is that I, for example, have access to health treatment in the UK because I'm a part citizen here. And guess what? These days, I seem to be getting better treatment here.
Yes.
Unless, of course, you want to go private. And that's happened to a lot of us who, we now seem to think that, look, the horizon has expanded in Nigeria here now. There's much more, at least for those who can afford it.
So so just to answer the question, yes, I live in the United States, but I come back here. I think things have changed over time in Nigeria now.
Yes.
And the health system is a lot better, and they're doing things here now that we never used to do before. And I have to say that the government is also getting involved, which is a very good thing, especially the Minister of State and Minister of Health,
The current one?
Yes, the current
one. That's good.
Yeah, he's very, very into this, and they're making sure the diasporans are coming back, people are coming back, and people are even just coming back generally. Hospitals like Lagoon, Evercare, Uracare, First Cardiology, Tri-State, they're bringing expertise back so that we can treat people here. People don't have to leave here
to go abroad.
Because the thing about healthcare is it should be affordable to everybody. When you have to travel abroad, that means it's only the rich that can get better, right? And we don't want that. It should be anybody living at Ajegunle, Mushin, VI, Lekki, it doesn't matter. You should be able to get affordable healthcare.
Are there any freebies for the public during this week? Free checkups anywhere?
I'm sure they are. Because people have health fairs in churches, in hospitals.
No, I'm even talking because of this Awareness Week. Yes. Are there any freebies?
I'm sure there are, definitely.
Are you doing any?
Well, if they, it's based on the hospital. If they organize them, we will definitely get
Can we ask Mrs. Kuyoro if she's... No, I'll spare you. I'll spare you that.
Absolutely.
Okay, we'll soon take a break. How many more minutes do I have? I have 5 minutes. Okay, let's take that call. Hello, good morning. Morning.
Good morning, JD.
Morning, ma. Auntie Lara, how are you? Grandma Korodu. Very good.
I want to ask the doctor.
Yeah.
How much damage is done to the brain after a TIA stroke?
Okay. How much is done to the brain after a TIA stroke?
ITA is
ITA, you meant?
ITA stroke.
Yeah. So thank you, ma'am, for that question. Actually, you are correct. TIA, transient ischemic attack. So, but what it means is that the symptom or the sign of stroke happens and resolves in 24 hours, as opposed to a regular stroke that has deficits like weakness and things like that.
Yes.
So it's a early sign of stroke, but it goes away. So there's not much damage. Usually when you do check the brain, CAT scan and MRI, you don't really find anything there. But I think that the more you have things like that, it leaves a little bit of damage. I won't say really physical damage, but the more you have, it becomes cumulative over time. But to answer your question, the typical TIA doesn't leave a damage because that's the definition. It resolves within 24 hours, and you have no deficit, no weakness, no paralysis, nothing. So, and there's no damage that can be seen in the brain.
But is it some kind of yellow card that you need
That
to
is
be
correct.
careful?
Exactly. That's what I mean. Yes.
It's like a yellow card.
Yes.
Grandma Ikorodu, I hope you're feeling much better. She's been a bit down for a while. Okay, let's take one more. Hello, good morning. Hello.
Good morning, Uncle Jim.
Morning. What happened? Let's pick another one. Hello, good morning. Hello, morning. Oh, okay. We'll just take a short break now, and when we come back, I'll continue my discussion with Dr. Badero, and maybe we'll have to ask Mrs. Kiyoro one or two questions about how people can access the activities that are going on in this awareness week, because I think they are very vital important. So don't go away. We'll be right back.
The Discourse with Jimi Disu.
The Discourse with Jimi Disu
Continues in a moment.
Shove above the TV.
Okay, I think I got it. Yes.
Are you sure you got it? Maybe I should come home.
Relax, love. It's okay. I've him. He's smiling. I'm just happy you could stay on the call for this long. I hope I haven't finished your airtime.
Oh, it's fine. I recharged using MTN Awoof for you, and it gave me a whole 6 times airtime bonus, so we can talk as long as we want all day long.
Enjoy Awoof that makes sense with MTN Awoof for you. Dial *888 recharge pin hash for 6 times the bonus on your next recharge. You can also use the Momo or the My MTN NG app to recharge. Terms and conditions apply. What are we doing today?
You're almost there. Just get the diaper from the shelf above the TV.
Okay, I think I got it. Yes.
Are you sure you got it? Maybe I should come home.
Relax, love. It's okay. I fed him. He's smiling. I'm just happy you could stay on the call for this long. I hope I haven't finished your airtime.
Oh, it's fine. I recharged using MTN Awoof for you, and it gave me a whole 6 times airtime bonus, so we can talk as long as we want all day long.
Enjoy Awoof that makes sense with MTN Awoof for you. Dial *888 recharge pin hash for 6 times the bonus on your next recharge. You can also use the Momo or the My MTN NG app to recharge. Terms and conditions apply. What are we doing today?
And now, we are back on The Discourse with Jimi Disu.
So you're welcome back to the Discourse with Jimi Disu, and I still have Dr. Badero, who is a heart specialist amongst others, and we're talking about this is a Heart Awareness Week. I'm made to understand that it's global, so apparently you need to keep your ears to the ground and find out where some of the activities would be held, and listen on radio. There's some other programs too. Some other programs too might feel inclined that there's a need to talk. I always put a very strong premium on health. Without good health, all what we are doing will come to naught. But you are apparently now a bit happy about the standards of the hospitals that we have there. So what then, from your own view, is responsible for the large exit of Nigerian doctors that we have to the diaspora? Loads of them, they're going in droves. Especially nurses. You won't believe it. Especially nurses. I know for a fact, about 3 weeks ago, there was a shortage of nurses in the wards in Louf. And you still have your schools of nursing, people are graduating. There's a mad exit of medical staff. What do you think is?
Yes, that's a very good question. But it comes down to to the crux of the problem. When I left, the infrastructure was not really there. It was very bad. Because I remember there were only 3 neurosurgeons in the country at the time, and the neurosurgeon that was at Ife, he finished a procedure and then he came out to have a rest, and then he had a heart attack and slumped right there.
He himself?
Yes, he slumped, and I was there, and the cardiologists and everybody they were not able to resuscitate him because there was no cath lab. There's the infrastructure if you have a heart attack, that's it. There's nothing to do at that time. So a lot of people had to leave. I had left because there was no infrastructure.
Oh, you trained here too?
Yes, I trained in Ife.
Which of the where?
Ife, I trained in Ife.
Yeah. Why did you go to your College of Medicine, Unilag? What a pity. Don't mind you.
I know. But
so you actually trained here, and
yes,
then you had to leave.
Yes, I had to leave, like a lot of people.
Yes, understand.
But I do things with College of Medicine, and they're very dear to my heart. Just like Nigeria is very dear to my heart. So a lot of us had to leave because of lack of infrastructure. But also the key thing is the economic factor. A lot of doctors are not well paid. They spend a lot of years in school. I spent 8 years in medical school instead of 6 years, and so they spend so many years in school and they don't even get paid as their counterparts who work in banking or in the oil industry
or in politics.
Exactly.
You don't understand that, but it's
right,
true.
Right, of course it is. So
I mean, hey, if they were going to buy doctors, cars worth 160 million, the hospitals would be full.
Yeah,
that's what with senators and whatever who do practically nothing. That's what we pay them.
Yeah. So I mean, when I was working, I used to take Mulwe and buses back in the day when I was here to work in a general hospital. I mean, things like that. So that's why a lot of people leave and the demand is there. And doctors are taken care of better in other countries because they realize that you put so much time into studying, and what you're doing is, is changing lives. Because I always say the wealth of a creative mind lies in the ability to make a difference in people's lives. And the ability to make a difference between sickness and health is one of the greatest wealth you can have. If you have a creative mind and it cannot change people's lives, there's no functionality to that wealth, to that creativity. So, and that is not being, compensated here in Nigeria. And that's the reason why a lot of people are leaving. Plus, the fact that the safety issue and people are not, it's kidnapping and things like that. And the first thing in life is to protect yourself. People spend so many years and they can't really get any reward for it.
But we had somebody who made a comment that maybe for those who can pay for it, there's an improvement, but that a lot of people believe that they can't afford even the treatment they get even in the government hospitals.
Well, I think in the government hospitals it's still relatively cheaper. I mean, if you look at the country, I mean, there's inflation in the country with the fuel price and things like that hike, and obviously that is going to drive prices up, and eventually it's going to trickle down into healthcare. And in the past, light and power used to be a problem, where some of these hospitals, they have to generate power and they have to buy diesel and they have to spend money on diesel, and that cost has to be transferred to patients, because if they don't, their business is going to die of timely death, and it's not sustainable. But I think the general hospitals are still trying, the teaching hospitals are still trying. These hospitals I mentioned earlier, the reason why I mentioned those hospitals is that they've spent money to bring people from the diaspora to come in here and work, either people from India, from UK, people from the United States, and they spend a lot of money to bring those people here so that they can bring the technology here and help the people. And if you look at it comparatively, it's still cheaper than you trying to get a visa, buying a ticket and going over there. India and things like that, I mean, they're doing renal transplantation, kidney transplant now that they didn't used to do before. Not every hospital is going to be able to pay people to come here, but the ones that I can pay, at least, you have that availability, which is the first step. And the more people see these things happen, there's going to be a trickle-down effect where all the people will start having, this technology is going to become more, and then people are going to have availability, especially once we can get our insurance in order. People don't realize that in the Western world, medical care is not out-of-pocket expense. It's usually insurance, because people cannot afford it. So, and that's the same model that we have to have in Nigeria. And it started, they have HMOs, but we have to do a little bit more for the HMOs to spread around, and maybe people's jobs, make sure that, maybe they can make a mandate that, if you're employed, maybe we have more than 10 staff and things like that, you need to provide health care.
Which really is insurance, not
insurance, yes, not, and that will make things more affordable for the.
We started from a wrong end way back. I remember the days when all of us were working actively, that you would have a hospital attached to you and you go there and run up a bill. And but with the advent of health insurance, I hope it will pick up and get better as time goes on. Okay, yes, you want to say
I just
something?
want to make one final point.
Yes.
Well, one point. The concept in Nigeria is that when somebody wants to, when a doctor wants to open a practice, they open a hospital. Okay, that's very capital intensive to run, and it transfers to patients' bills. In the developed countries, you don't have to have a hospital. You just need to have an office, and you need to have a collaboration with hospitals so that you can transfer your patients there, and the patient can be admitted. That becomes cheaper because you don't have to run a whole hospital. You just need a small room to have an office, and you can see your patient on an outpatient basis. And if they need to be admitted, you can transfer them to one other hospital, any other hospital that you're, collaborating with, and so that makes it cheaper. But the concept that we used to have historically here, which is to have everybody who wants to build a hospital.
Yeah.
And so we become jack of all trades and master of none. You can't be a momentary master of a fraction of a dot, right? We need to be able to do something. Let's know that there's a specialty here. If you go here, you can have this. Not within the 2-mile radius. You have 3 hospitals doing the same thing and basically reproducing the same efforts.
Good. We have a caller. Onye. Hello, good morning.
Good morning, Uncle JD.
Morning.
Good morning to your guest as well. This is Obode calling from Ikorodu. My question is this. Presently, with all these toxins we draw into our lungs from exhume of vehicles, generators, and everything, they've cut all the trees, so it's easy for us that the trees to be swallowing the carbon. We are the ones, humans, swallowing the carbon. Is there anything the doctor can say this morning that will help us remove toxins from our heart system generally? Thank you.
Okay.
So that's a very good question. I mean, I'm not a lung specialist, but smoke inhalation and impurities and toxic, it's something that is very common in industrialized nations. People using generators, even here in Nigeria, people have cars that are smoking. I don't know if there's a policy in the US, you can't drive a car that's, smoking and things like that. They will give you a ticket and all that. So those things are a problem. And of course, we're talking about, trees being cut and global warming and all these things. This affects what we breathe in. So that's why people get, a lot of lung issues and all that, and eventually affects the heart. So I think there's not much you can do when you live in that environment, and that's why you have to rely on the government to make policies to try to cut back on the pollution, air pollution. Either make it something that cars cannot basically drive if you're not roadworthy, and if you have to have a generator, make sure that it's well serviced, or is an area or it points to somewhere that is not basically it points to somebody else's house and come into their windows and things like that. And maybe limit cutting down of trees. That's something that they do in developed countries. You can't just be cutting trees. You have to have a license to cut these trees, because the trees give off oxygen and they help with the the air content and things like that.
The sad story is that we don't put a premium on our environment. There's all kinds of pollution. There's air pollution, there's noise pollution, there's everything. We keep getting better. See as you fresh, see as me as I look better.
You're actually fresher. You're actually fresher than fresh.
I don't think so. This is powder. we don't put a premium. We don't put a premium. We don't even put a premium on anything but money. That, unfortunately, but that's who we are.
You know what's interesting? We lose our health chasing money, and we lose our money to try to restore our health.
That's restore our health.
So it's like a conscious,
you would
like
find
a
an
cycle.
average Nigerian would rather spend his money maintaining his SUV than spending the money on himself. We still don't have that very good attitude of looking after ourselves. And religion hasn't helped. When at religious level you keep talking about miracles, and healing, it doesn't make our people face the realities of life. Prevention, they say, is better than cure. I don't think that saying is go off the shelf for eternity, but we don't do that. How many people actually, for example, go for checkups? Oh, it's so expensive, but you take your car for servicing. You understand? It's not yes, we know that there is poverty. Granted, there's poverty everywhere. But attitude is where the problem lies. Attitude And the fact that some of us even have the money we don't want to pay for, we'd rather use the money to buy lace and I would maybe it's good to get married. At least I must buy it. I'll see my doctor 2 weeks later. But we will try it, Doc. We
learn change from what we suffer, not from what we enjoy.
Not to enjoy. We thank those of you who are coming back gradually from the diaspora because it's a sacrifice, really. Some of us know that. Let's pick another call. Hello, good morning. Hello, morning.
Hello, morning.
Morning.
Yeah, Jimmy, how you doing?
Mm-hmm.
Thanks for bringing Rotimi.
Yeah.
Rotimi, hi. How is your brother, Yemi? They are both cardiologists. Am I right?
Yeah, that is correct.
Fantastic. Jimmy, the guy sitting in front of you happens to be one of the 2 people in the entire world that combines cardiology with nephrology.
Oh, really?
I'm telling you, he's just being modest.
Well, yes, but who are you, sir?
Sorry, I'm following. So we were in a car together, Jimmy.
Oh, okay. That's a long time.
Block C, yeah.
Okay.
We used to get together in the TV room where you had your special chair.
I know.
That guy is great. I didn't meet him. He didn't meet me in FGC Odobolu. His brother was my contemporary. I later learned that he attended federal government.
Oh, we lost that one. We would have had your full life history. The next question would have thrown you out of your seat. Okay, let's pick another call. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning, Uncle Jimmy.
Morning.
And good morning to our guest.
Yes.
My name is Peter Monse from Shomolu.
Yes, sir.
Now, I want to ask this question. When I travel home, I'm from Akwa Ibom State.
Yes.
And I discovered that most of our people will have 7 children, 9 children, and they would never visit hospital for once. The question I want to ask is it because of the type of food they eat? Because some of these heart problems seems to be predominant in the urban areas and not so in the rural areas. That is from my experience. So what is responsible for that, please?
Please go on.
Very good question, Mr. Peter. So a couple of things, we know that people that live in the village, typically live longer than, people that live in the industrial areas. Obviously, because of the food, like I mentioned, urbanization, westernization of diet. Diet is different. They eat, fresh food. A lot of times they eat a lot of fruits too, as opposed to the mechanized food that we have in the industrial areas, which has been shown to not be very good, for us. That's number one. And they, the environment is a lot better, it's easier. They don't have a lot of pollution as well. And some of these things can also be genetics, and sometimes, people don't check what you don't know. They say what you don't know doesn't hurt you, but that's not necessarily true because people are not checking their health. And some of these people die and they just assume it's due to something like natural cause or spiritual thing and things like that. But generally, the practice in the village is different from the practice in the industrialized areas, number one. Number two, the stress level in the industrialized areas is more than the stress level in the village. People don't have to build 3 houses, buy 2 cars, work 3 jobs, look for contracts here. They live a simpler life. They rest more. They walk more. Okay, they don't get on elevators. They don't get into cars. So they exercise by nature of what they do.
Yeah,
and that definitely helps. Their health.
So, what general advice do you have? Say, kind of lifestyle advice do you have for our people? Today, for example, some people just want to walk, and in a bid to let off steam, they play, meaning they drink, womanize down the line. So, for a lot of people, it's like a self-destruct button. So I'd like you to advise, and we just have about 5 minutes left, people on the kind of lifestyle. You should learn to relax. You should learn to exercise. You should learn, if you're in an air-conditioned, you sleep in an air-conditioned room. You go to work in an air-conditioned environment. You get back home, put on your air conditioner, take in some fresh air. Little things like that. I'd like them to hear from the doctor.
Thank you. So if you remember this acronym, SLEEP. Just sleep more. Sleep more. So S is, stop smoking.
Okay.
S means you need to have at least 7 to 8 hours of sleep, which makes your body rest.
That's a tough one.
Yeah, that's a tough one, but that's what we need to do. And people should stay away from coffee.
Oh, really? What about decaffeinated?
Yeah, well, decaffeinated, it still has a little caffeine in it, but it's better than caffeinated, coffee, because it puts a lot of stress on your heart. Yes, and then you have palpitations, and it keeps your mind open more. So people that drink coffee don't sleep very well, because that's how coffee works in the brain. So those are the two S's. And L, we need to lose weight. Everybody needs to lose weight. You need to know what your BMI is. A lot of times people don't know what their BMI is. Ask your doctor what your BMI is. It's not just how you look, but you have to check your weight against your height and lose weight.
Okay.
Yes, it's not just, there's a way to calculate the BMI, which is weight over height in kilograms squared. That will tell you what your BMI is. Normal BMI is.
And then I think you also need to know your BMI so you know how far you should lose the weight.
Exactly.
You don't want to go on an extreme again.
Exactly. So L is lose the weight. Eat means you eat the right food. I think this is just my own personal opinion that human beings were created to eat plant-based diet. So every time people have.
Are you pro-vegetarian?
Not necessarily vegetarian, but what I mean by eat a lot of fruits, vegetables.
Okay.
Really plant-based, not necessarily vegetarian, but you need to eat. If you're going to eat meat, fish is better. Stay away from red meat because it's been shown to cause heart problems. Stay away from fried foods. Okay, if you need to you need to eat something, let it be grilled, baked, or boiled, not necessarily fried. We need to exercise. The other E is exercise.
Doctor, Dodo.
Well,
Dodo is fried.
There's a Yoruba adage that says, Mr. Disu, there's a Yoruba adage that says,
yes.
Dodo, cooking so Dodo. Anyway, I divert. So I'm going to go back.
Go back.
So no fried dodo. But anyway, so that's the other E. And the last P is you need to practice safe procedures and things like that. Like, for example, you need to exercise. People, they want to go to the gym and there's no way to park and they keep circling around looking for a place to park. But you're coming to the gym to exercise anyway. So you can park far away and walk.
Exactly.
Yes. Sometimes you shouldn't take the elevators. You should take the stairs, and try not to get stressed about a lot of things. There are a lot of things you cannot control. We need to take food. We shouldn't take medicine as food. We should take food as medicine. People take medicine like they're taking food, and instead of taking food like medicine, meaning we should just eat 3 times a day. You need to watch your calories. A lot of time people are not watching their calories. You need to count your calories. The calories is the currency of food, just like Naira is the currency of money. So you need to know how much calories. You try to restrict your calories to maybe 1,000 calories a day. Make sure that what you're eating, everything that you're placing into your body. We shouldn't intoxicate ourselves. People like to drink alcohol. Alcohol can cause high blood pressure. So everything in moderation, and just try to live a good life and try to be. I know they say Nigerians are very happy people. I don't know how happy people are with this, health.
No, but maybe I also want you to talk to her at least about how we eat at parties. Oh my God. What we eat at parties, the things we just keep stuffing in.
The Owambes.
And guess what? Some people go to as much as 3 in a week.
Yeah.
So it's not as if it's a one-off. For some people, there's always a funeral or engagement, and they keep stuffing themselves. What's that? Do you have a call? On Skype. Okay, let's take that. Hello, morning. Hello.
What's that? Yeah.
Morning.
Hello. Good morning, sir.
Where are you calling from?
Houston,
okay.
Yes, sir. The topic you're actually having is a very good topic, and I'm happy you're having that. I'm currently managing a high blood pressure condition, and also I have an elongated left ventricle. So hearing what the doctor was saying there, I knew was resonating with me, and I felt let me just do a call.
Okay.
With regards to the food, I noticed he hasn't mentioned salt yet.
He did. He mentioned salt.
Oh, okay, he did. Because while I was in Nigeria, I was still eating salt in high volume, and none of my medical doctors back in Nigeria mentioned that I should stop eating salt.
Oh, really?
It was when I got to the US, and they realized my medication, despite the fact I was taking my medication constantly, my blood pressure was still shooting over 150 by 104, which was, to the US doctors, it was outrageous. They're like, you can't survive on this. it will keep damaging your organs. So it was when I stopped eating salt and I started making my own food myself, and I took more of fruits, that my blood pressure level dropped to like 110/78. If I literally had to take a screenshot of it, because I have never seen that reading before. I'm 43 years old. I've never seen that reading. So a lot of times, I think Nigerian doctors need to reveal more. Then people who are going through this condition need to read more about it.
Okay, thank you very much. God bless you. You did mention salt. And to be fair to Nigerian doctors, those that have been treating me, I've had hypertension for about 30 years. I've always said that try and avoid salt. It's something that I knew. Maybe it's just unfortunate his own doctor never told him. We have to go because time again is the greatest enemy here. I wish you all the best. You're in Nigeria for a while?
That is correct.
Okay, don't worry. One of these days I'm going to fish you out in Houston, right?
Mississippi.
Oh, Mississippi. Yes. That's a bit far. Okay. All right. Well, we'll catch you. Mrs. Kiyoro, thank you very much. Dr. Mrs. Kiyoro, thank you very much. And so that's where we'll end it for today. I'll be back on Tuesday. I'll see if we can continue this discussion with somebody else to talk a bit about health. That's if something doesn't pop up. Remember, go to my TikTok, okay, and go and listen to what Mr. Tuguyeli has to say to the Attorney General. It was a very moving thing, and you don't want to miss it, and I'd like to see your comments on it. Maybe we'll even talk about it next week. Thank you very much. Mrs. Adebigbe Eshegonyo, do you speak Yoruba now? Say something. Say something to my people. Let's see if we've taken you lock, stock, and barrel. Yes.
Echo radio listening, though.
Echo radio. I'll see you all on Tuesday. Bye.
Thank you very much for having me.
Info 99.3. Follow us on Twitter at Nigeria Info FM and on Instagram at Nigeria Info FM Lagos for live updates as it happens. 99.3 Nigeria Info. Let's